As Queequeg and I are now fairly embarked on this business of whaling, and as this business of whaling has somehow come to be regarded as landsmen, as somehow a disreputable therefore I am all anxiety to convince ye landsmen, of the injustice thereby done to us, who seek the whale. In the first place, it might be deemed almost superfluous to establish the fact that among the people at large, the business of whaling is not accountable on the same level as what is called the liberal professions. If someone was to be introduced into any metropolitan society, it would but slightly advance the opinion of his merits were he introduced as in the company of a harpooner, so to speak. And if he should amend the initials sperm whale fishery to his visiting card, this procedure would be deemed preeminently presuming and ridiculous. That is one reason why the world does not honor the whalemen. They think at best our vacation amounts to a sort of butchering sort of occupation, and that we would be surrounded by all manner of defilements. Indeed we are, but it's true. But butchers also, and butchers of the bloodiest batch, have been all marital commanders, whom the world invariably delights to honor. And as to the manner of the alleged uncleanliness, you shall soon be initiated, which are generally unknown, and which, upon the whole, will triumphantly plant the sperm whale ship, at least among the cleanliness things of this tidy earth. Even granting the charge in question to be true, what disordered, slippery ships are comparable to the unspeakable carrion on the battlefields upon which so many soldiers return to drink in all the plaudits? And if the imperil so much enhances the prestige of the soldier's impression, let me assure you that many a veteran who has marched up to the battery would quickly recoil at the apparition of the sperm whale's vast tail. For what are the comprehensible terrors of man compared with the interlinked terrors of God? But though the world scoffs at us whale hunters, the profound skirmish, yea, and all abounding adoration from almost all the tapers, lamps that burn round the globe, burn as before so many shrines to our glory. But look at this matter in another light. Weigh it in all sorts of gales. See what we whalemen are and have been. Why did the Dutch in Van Wyck's time have admirals of their whaling fleets? Why did Louis XVI of France, at his own personal expense, fit out whaling ships from Dunkirk and politely invite to that town some score of two from our own native island of Nantucket? Why did Britain, between the years 1750 and 1788, bounties of upward of £1,000,000? And lastly, how comes it that we whalemen of America now outnumber all the rest of the banded whalemen of the world? We are serving a navy of upward of 700 vessels manned by 18,000 men, yearly consuming $4 million. The ship's worth at the time of sailing, $20 million. And every year importing into our harbors a well-reaped harvest of $7 million. How comes all this, if there be not something prescient in whaling? Oh. But this is not the half. Look again. I freely assert that the cosmopolitan philosopher cannot, in all of his life, point to one peaceful influence which, in the last 60 years, has operated more beneficently upon the whole broad world, taken in its aggregate, than the high and mighty business of whaling. One way and another, it has begun events so remarkable in and among themselves, and so continually momentous, that whaling may well be regarded as like that Egyptian mother who bore offspring herself pregnant from the womb. It would be a hopeless, endless task to catalogue all these things, but a handful suffice. For many years past, the whale ship has been the pioneer in ferreting out the remotest and least known parts of the earth. She has skirted seas and archipelagos which had no chart, where no Hook or Vancouver had ever sailed. If American and European men of war now peacefully ride in the once savage harbors, let them fire a salute to the honor and glory of the whale ship, which originally showed them the way, and first interpreted between them and the savages. They may well celebrate, but they were the heroes of exploring expeditions, your Cooks, your crew sterns. But I say that scores of anonymous captains that sailed out of Nantucket were great and greater than your Cooks and your crew sterns, for in their supperless independentness they, in heathenish shark-infested waters, fighted unrecorded Javelin Island battles, dispersion wonders and terrors that Cook, with all his marines and rockets, would not have willingly dared. And that is such a flourish of in old southeast voyages. Those things were but the commonplaces of our heroic Nantucketers. Often adventures which Vancouver dedicates 3 chapters to, these men accounted unworthy of being set down in the ship's common log. Ah, the world! Oh, the world! Until the whale fishery rounded Cape Horn, no commerce but colonial, scarcely any intercourse but colonial, was carried on between Europe and the long line of the opulent Spanish provinces of the Spanish coast. It was the whalemen who first broke through the terrible policy of the Spanish crown touching these colonies, and if space permitted, those whalemen at last, eventually, with the liberation of Peru, Chile, and Bolivia from yoke of old Spain, and the establishment of the eternal democracy in those parts. On the other side of the sphere, America, the other great America, was given to the enlightened world by whalemen after its first wonderful discovery by Dutchmen. All other ships once thought barbarous, but the whale ship touched there. The whale ship is the true mother of that now mighty colony. Moreover, in infancy of the first Abyssinian settlement, the emigrants were several times saved from starvation by the benevolent distribution of the whale ship, luckily weighing anchor in their waters. The unselfish isles of all Polynesian profess the same truth and give commercial homage to the whale ship that cleared the way for missionary and merchant, and in many cases carried the missionaries to their first destination with that devil-bolted land Japan is ever to become hospitable. It is the whale ship alone to whom the credit will be due, for already she is on the threshold. Oh, I'm doing more. 3. If I can. 1 more. But in the face of all this, you still declare that whaling has no aesthetically noblest associations connected with it. Then am I ready to shiver 50 lances with you there and unhorse you with a split helmet every time. The whale has no famous author, and whaling no famous chronicler, you will say. The whale has no famous author, and whaling no famous chronicler? Who wrote the first account of our Leviathan? Who but mighty Job? And who composed the first narrative of a whaling voyage? Who but no less than a prince, Alfred the Great, who with his own royal hand took down the words from others, the Norwegian whale hunter of those times, and who pronounced our glowing eulogy in Parliament? Who but Edmund Burke? True enough, but then whalemen themselves are poor devils. They have no good blood in their veins. No good blood in their veins? They have something better than royal blood there. The grandmother of Benjamin Franklin was Mary Morrell. Afterwards, by marriage, Mary Folger, one of the old settlers of Nantucket, and the ancestress to a long line of Folgers and of harpooners, all kith and kin to noble Benjamin, this day darting the barbed iron from one side of the world to the other. Good again. But then all confess that somehow whaling is not respectable. Whaling not respectable? Whaling is imperial. By old English statutory law, the whale is declared a royal fish. Oh, that's only nominal. The whaleman himself has never figured in any grand imposing way. The whaleman never figured in any grand imposing way. In one of the mighty triumphs given to a Roman general upon his entering the world's capital, the bones of a whale brought all the way from the Syrian coast were the most conspicuous object in this symbolic procession. But say what you will, there is no real dignity in whaling. No dignity. In whaling, the dignity of our calling. The very heavens attest. Sirius is a constellation in the sky. No more! draft down your hats in the presence of the Tsar and take it off to Queequeg. No more. I know a man that in his lifetime has taken 350 whales. I account that man more honorable than thou, that great captain of antiquity, who had boasted as having taken as many walled towns. And as for me, if by any possibility there is any of yet undiscovered thing in me by which I should ever deserve any real esteem in this small but hostile world, which I might not be unreasonably ambitious of, if hereafter I shall leave anything that, on a whole, a man might rather have done than to have left undone, if on my death or more properly my creditors, find any MMS in my desk, then here I prospectively ascribe all the honor and the glory to whaling. For a whale ship was my Yale College and my Harvard.